Well, I'll tell you, this is a bill that I'm passionate about. We've been working on it for 5 years, actually since before I was in the legislature, when I was still at One America. Every year it's been a fight, because what the Washington Voting Rights Act does is it does fundamentally shift the balance of power. It expands our democracy by allowing people to actually elect the person that they vote for, and to not be put down by racially polarized voting. And so over the years, we've been negotiating with the Republicans to say, look, this is smart policy, because instead of spending tens of millions of dollars on a federal Voting Rights Act lawsuit, this allows local jurisdictions to come together and actually create a solution before they have to go to the federal courts and be sued and spend millions of years. Every year we've coalesced advocates, legislators from both sides. Every year we've made some changes to sort of help bring more people on, to educate people about the bill. This year it got all the way to the floor calendar, and I had meetings with Senator Schessler and other key Republicans. Fundamentally, they are not ready to pass a bill that expands democracy. And we have made numerous changes over and over again. We are now at the point where it's time to just bring the thing to a vote. Let's see. I believe that if we brought that bill to the floor for a vote, we would have enough votes to pass it, because it's a smart bill. It's smart policy legislation. It's good for communities. It's good for democracies. And we have editorial boards across the state who are now with us and saying, yes, pass the Washington Voting Rights Act. So what happened? The Republican leadership decided that they're not ready to expand democracy. And it's deeply disappointing, I think, to the people of this state, to cities across the state who are looking for a solution, and to communities who are trying to get their folks more engaged. But in order to do that, we've got to make sure that it's fair, it's a fair process, and that people actually have the ability to elect the person they vote for. It's huge. The Opportunity Gap bill is huge because it recognizes the complexity of the support services that we really need to provide to kids of color, low-income kids, the kids who are having the toughest time in school. And it allows us to get the data for the first time in a way that we can track progress and we can design solutions so that they meet the needs of kids. It really focuses on cultural competencies, so it means limited English proficient kids and families will be able to start to get some of the services that they need in the languages they need. It creates training for teachers. It deals with suspension for the first time. We're actually saying, hey, let's address the school to prison pipeline in a significant way. We started that before with some data that we got. Now we know how bad things are. We know that kids are being suspended and taken out of school at very early ages simply because of their race. So this is an enormous accomplishment, and it's taken a lot of hard work from leaders on the Opportunity Gap Committee, from the communities who came together to really push for this. And it's a big step forward. It makes me proud, at least on this one bill, it makes me very proud to be here in the State Senate and be able to make a difference in kids' lives. So a supplemental budget comes in the year when we don't do a full budget. So last year we did a 2-year budget. It's called a biennial budget. This year, since we passed the 2-year budget, it's the opportunity to really deal with crises, unexpected happenings that the state needs to take care of. And it's an opportunity for us to sort of correct the biennial budget that we passed last year by, putting more funding into things that really need it, as an example. And so this year we've been dealing with a number of crises, wildfires across our state that are costing about $170 million a year for the last 2 years. Things like homelessness, the fact that we have 35,000 homeless kids, mental health, the fact that we have a real crisis in mental health. And so this is the year for us to accomplish that. Unfortunately, what's happened in the Senate is the Republicans seem unwilling to tap our emergency funds for these crises that we are dealing with this year. And so if you look at the Democratic budget in the House, they put more money in and they tap some of those reserves, because that is what reserves are for, is to be able to deal with those crises. We can't afford to cut at this moment when we already have so many crises on our hands. We actually have to make sure that we're tapping into our resources and our reserves to come up with some dollars to help deal with the biggest crises of our time. So where are we on the supplemental budget? I really hope and believe that we will be able to come to agreement in the last day and a half that we have to do that, and that we will be able to finish session with a supplemental budget that addresses our kids, that addresses mental health needs, and that addresses the fires and the prevention that we need to do in order to not have another $170 million tab this year for wildfires across our state. It's been an incredible second year of my time here in the State Senate, and I'm so grateful to people across the district, the 37th district, for being in touch with me, for writing to me, for telling me what you think. I'm going to continue to fight for you the way I have the last 2 years, the way I have my whole life, and to make sure that middle-class families across our district have the opportunities that they deserve. Thanks so much.